Good morning. I'm Laurent Moudry from the National Geography Centre, and I'm based in Liverpool. I'm also the PI for the Co-op project, which brings together teams from the National Geography Centre, Cranfield University, the University of Liverpool, and the University of St Andrews. I'll now briefly introduce what the project is all about. So the coast is where sea and society interact the most, and one particular issue is a threat that coastal hazards pose. Coastal flooding and erosion have economic impacts in excess of £260 million per year on average, and there are very significant efforts to protect ourselves from these hazards. Historically, coastal protection schemes have relied extensively on hard, grey, engineered schemes, and you have a few examples on the left side, going from groins, offshore breakwaters, and various seawalls. However, these schemes are unfortunately not sustainable in the long term due to inflating costs and negative environmental impacts such as coastal squeeze. Alternatives do exist and rely on greener approaches that work with natural processes, and they have been championed and introduced over the past 20-odd years. You have examples on the right, and these greener schemes can include managed realignment, creation or restoration of coastal habitats, and hybrid solutions. However, the real problem is that uptake of these schemes is far too slow to achieve stated ambitions. This figure on this slide here is from the Climate Change Committee, and it shows that uptake of managed realignment in the UK has been 5 times too slow to meet the 2030 stated goal. But why is that? We asked this question to a number of coastal stakeholders, logos on the right, and their replies fell into 4 broad groups. First, the methods used to assess the services provided by coastal ecosystems are not holistic and quantitative enough. And one specific weakness is that assessments often do not account for the impact of a changing baseline due to climate change. Second, social acceptance is rarely accounted for, which means that there is a tendency towards status quo, and we know that's not sustainable. Third, risks and uncertainties are not addressed well enough, which means that decision-making remains poorly supported with notable skepticism from practitioners. Finally, governance structures are often not clear enough. This is currently being addressed in the DEFRA project and won't be dealt with in co-opt. Overall, that really highlights the need for improved coastal management tools, and given the timeline associated with shoreline management plans, it's a timeline at the bottom here, this is really pressing. Pressing because the red star, which marks where we are now, is really not long before the end of the first SMP epoch. The aim of co-opt is to address this need and therefore to develop a new integrated and transdisciplinary system-based framework that will support this transition from hard, grey defenses to softer green solutions. Importantly, we will take into account agendas linked with protecting the UK coast from marine hazards, but also linked with net zero ambitions. We will address key science questions mapping on the issues highlighted by stakeholders. How do baseline changes in environmental drivers that are due to climate change affect supply and value of coastal ecosystem services? How do uncertainties from multiple sources combine to determine risk associated with policies and interventions? How do value systems interact with ecosystem services trade-off to influence the acceptance of policies and interventions? The project is based on bringing together different disciplines into a single overall approach. We will bring together a conceptual representation of the complex coastal social ecological system, SES, with the influence of social perceptions and values, and with quantitative valuation of coastal ecosystem services both now and into the future. This last component actually includes delivering environmental data sets and then valuing ecosystem services. Overall, we'll start by focusing on the generic coastal system. We'll then step down in scales to focus on a series of 4 case studies, more on them in a minute. For each case study, we'll reflect on what has happened to date in order to determine the current status of the human environment systems. We'll then investigate responses of these human environment systems under future plausible what-if scenarios, including uncertainties. Finally, we'll upscale and integrate all the learnings from the case studies and work with government stakeholders to inform management and policy development. To that end, our case studies have been selected to provide both similitude and contrast along several dimensions, so that we can effectively use comparative analysis. Our 4 case studies are located in 2 broad regions and span different policies and interventions as well as different environmental drivers. They are Skinflats in the Firth of Forth and St Andrews Links, both in Scotland, and Trywerth Penzarn in North Wales and Heathcote's Bank in northwest England. So I'll stop here, and I do realize that this has been a very succinct introduction. So please do get in touch if you have questions about the project, and thank you very much for listening.